Welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia Baranovsky-Schneider, the podcast that takes you on a journey around the world to meet some of the most inspiring and accomplished individuals. Discover their stories, uncover invaluable business lessons from their paths to success, and gain exclusive insights on how to apply their strategies to elevate your life and business.
Hello, and welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia. I'm your host, Patty Baranovsky-Schneider. Today, I'm joined by Forrest Tuff, an accomplished entrepreneur, film producer, global speaker, and master life coach. So welcome, Forrest. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how you doing? Really glad to be here.
Nice.
It is awesome because I think when I look at everything that I've found myself involved in, I realize I'm a storyteller.
Nice.
I think it all revolves around storytelling. And so these branches that go off like a limb, they're still the same area. It's just they're all in different forms of storytelling.
Nice. I know it's so it's kind of funny. Like I'm one who I don't talk much, or I shouldn't say I don't talk much. I talk a lot, but I don't talk about like feelings and things like that. But I can write like there's no tomorrow, and I write like a conversational type way. So some people, like I've written several books, and people will say, it just seems like you're talking to me. Where other people say, well, it's not technically the right way to write. I'm like, but I'm writing not for you, for me. I'm just telling my story how it is. So I get it 100%.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. So now tell us, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, and how has the journey shaped who you are today?
You just started, early on, I played sports. I was in basketball, and I'll be honest with you, I had tunnel vision. I knew I was making it to play professional, and I put all my chips in that basket. And of course, they always tell you don't do that. But, hey, I think if a doctor is going to be a doctor, they don't say, I'm backup, I'm going to be a vet. It's like you're going to be a doctor. So, and unfortunately for me, I had a career-ending injury, and it didn't happen. So at this point now, I'm working different jobs, just trying to figure out where I fit in. And I got into sales. And that's where I really found out that I like working with people. And during my early career, I always had a camcorder. I was always videoing, just things with friends and parties. And so one day someone asked me, hey, how much would you charge to do this birthday party? And that's when it struck, ding, ding, ding. So 2004, here we are 20 years later. That first time doing a birthday party and getting paid, that led me to this trajectory of having a business now 20 years later, working in media production and working with governments and multi-million and billion-dollar organizations. So that was kind of the spark.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it is kind of tricky. Like I always admired in school back in the day when people would say, well, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a lawyer. And I always joke around. I mean, I'm 25, right? And I still say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's kind of like I never had that calling. But if you love what you do, that's pretty much all that matters. I mean, not everybody has that luxury, but doing what makes you feel good, I mean, that's perfect. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, though, we find out that our passion isn't enough to start a business, and so there was that journey of learning all the things you needed to know to actually sustain it and make sure that the thing you love doing, you could actually make a living off of it.
Yeah, that's the catch-22.
Yeah, that is the catch.
Now tell us, as a film producer, how do you approach storytelling to entertain and inspire audiences?
So for me, when I think about films, I think of things that bring me emotion. I watch so many different genres of film, from the old black and whites to now we look at the sci-fi, the horror movies, and all of these evoke an emotion. So when I'm writing or when I'm thinking about putting together a story, I'm always thinking about what emotion am I invoking, or what is the lesson, the subliminal lesson that's not right in your face that you can learn from this. So I always keep that in mind as I'm thinking about writing a story. There are some that resonate more from personal experiences, but then you have things that, being an imaginative person, you can create stories and pull from this database of things that you never lived. So for me, I'm always looking to try to evoke emotion or tell something that may resonate. They always say, even as a speaker, make sure that people leave with one thing. So I kind of keep that in mind also too, when I'm putting together a story.
Very nice. I mean, it is true, because I always tell people it's not about you. It's about who you're selling to, who you're talking to, whatnot.
Right.
So your story has to resonate with somebody somehow, some way. Maybe not everybody, but you obviously get it.
Right. Whoever you're trying to focus on or you're targeting, make sure that it resonates with them, and you can go from there.
Yeah, because if not, you're kind of talking to yourself, and that's no point in that.
That's it. Yeah, that is it.
Yeah. Now, you've spoken on global platforms. So what do you enjoy most about connecting with audiences worldwide, and how do you tailor your messages?
I think for me, it's the process that I learned was that the thing about people worldwide is the human experience. Once I realized that was the thing that overcame the barriers, I recognized when I'm tailoring my talks that I can focus on an experience. Even if we were raised different culturally, we all know that there's a certain thing about having a relationship with your parents or dealing with peer pressures or things growing up at formidable years. So then it's just a matter of understanding a culture. Yeah. So when you talk to different people, you kind of put yourself in their shoes. It's like you have to get in their shoes to understand how they view the same thing that you view. Mm-hmm. So when you put that story together, you can tell it authentically in your way, but you have them in mind so that now it resonates, because they're like, wow, I get that, because there's something about it that resonates with them. And it's that experience that I found out is the glue to talking to people from different places and all over the world.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, like even just in business in general, that's one thing that I agree with. Like I knew some people who went to college and just graduated with their MBA and all of a sudden had this position up here, where I started as a receptionist, worked my way up the corporate ladder. I did it all. And it helped a lot because I can resonate with just about everybody. So now I don't bark at people. Like I understand what you're going through. I've been there. It's as opposed to someone else who just walked in. It's just like cracking the whip and get this done now. It's like, it doesn't work that way. So having that personal experience is huge, and it does connect you with so many more in the world, which is amazing.
Yeah. You've been doing this now for, I want to say 30 plus years.
35 years.
Yeah. You learned, and when you think about that experience, to me, to be able to survive in this climate, there's been so much change.
Yeah.
Like in 35 years, it's not like, oh yeah, every decade there's a change. No, there's a change every year. You're like, wow, I have to stay relevant and rethink how I approach it. So I think that's a testament to what you're doing to be able to sustain that long and stay relevant, and now come back and share this information. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here on this platform. I was so honored when you asked me to come on. Yeah.
I always tell people, some people just set it and forget it. They learn what they learned in school and they're done with it. It's like you have to be a constant learner because things change every single day. From a week ago, even like look at ChatGPT. Going back a month ago, it's like a whole 180. It's completely different. And if you don't evolve and keep up with the times, you're just going to get left behind. And
honestly, when you mentioned ChatGPT, I looked at a RFP I did for this organization probably a year and a half ago. Right. And we weren't really using ChatGPT, and it was a great RFP, well put together. And I decided now, hey, let's run this through and see how we can tweak it. And the difference was like very interesting. Like, wow, this information, just the access to help you have extra information to, make it better is just, technology. Like you say, it's constantly changing. You have to use these resources.
And that's the thing. People have to, some people get lazy and just want to use it as is. And it's, you'll eventually realize it's not 100%. It's to help you, because I agree. Right. I've put together press releases and things like that, and it'll tweak certain words. And like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I like how that reads a little better. So it helps, it's not going to replace me. But
and when you, as a writer like yourself, when you write and you know how to put it together, it really can help you just clean up that little thought you had, and you're like, oh wow, okay, that's great. So no, it's a great tool. I think it's a great tool if you understand how it can help enhance your original thoughts.
Right, help, not replace.
Exactly. Exactly.
So now tell us, what does being a master life coach mean to you, and what's the most impactful advice that you've given someone?
Oh, master life coach. I'm a superhero. I should have an LLC. Really, honestly, I tell people, listen, this doesn't mean we have it all together. It means that I've taken on formal training that has given me this credential. And I'll couple that with my experiences and ongoing training, try to help you maybe get over a hump or help you get to the next place. But, being a master life coach, really that is a certification based on certain levels of training with this coaching academy. and just being able to help people and inspire them. That's the biggest thing. Oftentimes when I coach, there are so many people that don't believe in themselves. And I've heard a lot, I really like that you believe in me. My ideas aren't so crazy. Like, I like your ideas. Now let's figure out how that'll work and if it's feasible. And, on that journey, they can learn, hey, I don't think this will be a great idea. That's the best part of it to me, is when they are empowered to start to look at their things objectively and to really see how they can go about progress and create goals that aren't just, they're more realistic to get to a bigger picture.
Well, it's kind of helped me to help you. So yeah,
exactly.
And I think it's amazing that you've gone through the whole certification. You have, decades of experience, because I think we've all seen post-COVID, everybody under the sun became some sort of life coach.
Absolutely.
But they have no training whatsoever. And just because they've done something, they just feel that they're qualified to tell the whole world. And it's like, you might have close-knit friends that'll be beneficial to, but you really have to understand the broader audience. And I think you're doing that is amazing, and you definitely have the experience and, a great following, which is a testament to what you're doing. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Before I even started coaching, are you familiar with the organization called SCORE?
No.
Okay. It's a nonprofit organization. It's a resource partner through the Small Business Administration.
Okay.
And basically they provide pro bono mentors to help you start or sustain your business. So nice. I did that for roughly 8 years before I even started my business.
Wow.
And so I had the opportunity to work with thousands of people across the country, not only just one-on-one mentoring, but doing workshops, and helping. It was mentoring more so than coaching. But during that process, we had to do certifications every year. Wow. And so as I started on that journey of coaching, I now just use the experience of, at the time, I've been in business about 15 years, my years of mentoring, and now these new skills that I learned. So when I became a coach, it wasn't like, oh, you're just a new coach who came out during the pandemic. I actually had a working knowledge of people and how to motivate them and help them get to the next level. And I learned a lot being a mentor myself.
Yeah. And being accountable, having to keep, reviewing it and updating it and being accountable for what you're doing, I think is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff. Now, how do you help others identify and achieve their full potential, both personally and professionally?
Transparency helps a lot. I often talk to people about some of the failures I face and the lows that I had. And I think sometimes that, once again, that human connection, that experience to know that, hey, you may look at me, or, you may look at somebody that's on the stage and think, oh, they've made it. They have it so together. But to learn that, hey, we're all human. We all go through it. It's just how we actually face that challenge is the difference between where we stand. So when talking with people, I usually spend a lot of time listening. That's the thing. When I get into coaching mode, I spend more time listening, because sometimes they'll tell you the problem. They'll just give it right to you, So I do a lot of listening. And then when I do that, I'm open to share some of the challenges I have and how I was able to face it. So now when I share these techniques that could be beneficial to them, it makes sense. They see some relevance in it. So that's one of the methods that I use I feel has been the most impactful.
Nice. It's funny because I wrote a couple books, and one of them was called Life's Obstacles Can Be Your Greatest Motivators. And it basically was me. It wasn't that I want to just air my dirty laundry out to the world. It was talking about all the crap that I've gone through. But it was more like, because I hate when people judge a book by its cover. They look at you and they're just like, oh, she's had it made her whole life. She probably got, this scholarship and blah. You have no idea what I've gone through. You have absolutely no idea. I probably endured more in 55 years than some people have in their entire lifetime. But it's like, just throwing stuff out there was letting people see, one, you're not alone. And two, that if you just stick with it and believe in yourself, you can come through this. So sometimes it's, you have to be personal and share your pain and your suffering with others, so that, because you never know who is going through something similar, or who, I always say, when, you never know what someone's going through. Just give somebody a smile. You could have just made their entire day. So when some people realize, like, wow, you actually went through that, and you look at you today, maybe what I'm going through isn't so bad, or maybe it's bad, but I saw you do it, and that's awesome. So I think what you're doing is amazing, and being personable, that's a bigger connection than anything.
Yeah, that is like I say, I always start from the storytelling, human connection piece. That is my, that's my go-to in terms of everything that how I spearhead most of the things that I do.
And listening is amazing because so many people, they're just talking. It's like,
Wow.
what about me? Because that happened. I mean, I'm a culprit of that too, because I forget what I was going to say. So sometimes I'm cutting people off but just shutting up and listening, because so many people just don't feel heard, so you hear them, you listen, you acknowledge it, and they're like, wow, that in and of itself was just made my day,
It is just to have someone listen to you
Right.
and actually validate what you're feeling.
Right.
That solves a world of problems for so many people, because in this
Sure.
world, there's so much noise right now between social media. Everybody's an expert.
Right.
Everybody seems to have it together.
Right.
And so it can make you feel insignificant if you don't really understand how that works.
Right.
And so to have someone listen to your, just the things that you're going through and say, hey, I can understand why you feel that way. And I can see how that could affect you. That does make a big change in dealing with different people.
For sure. And you probably, pulled them off that ledge many, many times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now tell us, what significant challenge have you faced in your career, and what lessons did you learn from overcoming them?
For me, the challenges that I faced are knowledge. As I say, I started out with this tunnel vision thing, right? I kind of created my own problem. So now it's the fast track. Now I'm married with children and I need to make money. So I don't have a lot of time to go back in education and, take my year off and travel the world. I had to really learn and work at the same time. So as I'm learning about media production, I'm implementing. So the biggest challenge for me was learning industries and having to implement. And so for me, it was go get training. I always believe there's training. It may not be school. It may be a certification. It may be ongoing classes, that may, like being in Toastmasters, meeting once a week, learning how to be a public speaker. So those are the type of things for me. The biggest challenge for me was overcoming my fear of saying, you can do this. I think looking in the mirror and telling myself every day, Forrest, you can do this. You can do it. That was the biggest fear and scare, is not thinking I was good enough.
And believe it or not, there's so many people out there that probably feel that same way. And you resonating with that will be, huge. Because I was the same, like public speaking. I'm like, don't make eye contact, just keep quiet. And my voice gets lower and lower. And it's like, people came to hear what you have to say. Be loud and proud, but a lot of people deal with that. And again, being personal is amazing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to step out of your box, having to go, like I said, when I started Toastmasters, I had to go and speak in front of strangers every week.
Right.
And you find out that, they're critiquing you there. But, it was a safe environment. I will say that. It was an environment where they're like, oh, you're terrible. You need to do this. It was an environment where they actually celebrated you and they told you, hey, listen, you'll do great. Here's some things that I think would improve what you've done, but here's some great things that you've done. So it's a very supportive environment and it makes you eager to become better. Right. And it doesn't shun you. So that was the surprise with that organization. I stepped out in fear, but I realized this is a great environment to learn.
Yeah, but it's basically reiterating what you're doing. It's people who've been in that same situation, overcame it, and they want to help other people. And same what you're doing now.
Right. Absolutely.
Now tell us, as a storyteller, what elements do you believe are essential for crafting compelling and impactful narratives?
I would say truth. There is nothing more important than a truth in a story, because that resonates with people. I think generally people can tell when something isn't real. They can feel it, like that just doesn't seem authentic. And I think that authenticity, if you use that in anything that you do, it resonates with people. And so for me, the essential part of a story is a certain level of authenticity, and how you come about that is different for everyone. So I can't really speak to how you do that, but I try to make sure that there are times when I am telling maybe a bit of a tall tale that people can say, okay, yeah, I can tell that's part of the story, but there's some realness behind that. There's something to that story. So for me, that is the piece. That is that piece, but it's different how everyone achieves that.
Right. No, 100%, because like, especially now, social media, even media in general, with the clickbait, or they just give you bits and pieces of where they want you to go, but they're not really, you can kind of tell, again, it's like not authentic. It's like, I kind of get where you're going, but I don't see this the way you're saying, but because it's just trying to lure you in for something different.
Right.
So
That's it. You're so right.
be honest.
Yeah. And audiences are more savvy now.
Yeah.
They're so used to it that when something feels real, they actually can tell it.
Yeah.
And, they want to be drawn to that. So that's what I try to do in my stories.
Right. And it's funny because you could read anything. And it is true when you really feel that connection and feel that honesty, and you could feel what that person's going through or what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to read everything you have to say at this point. I'm going to follow you. I want to connect more.
Right.
But when it's not, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, check. And they're done.
Right,
that.
That's good. Yeah. We read that.
And
How it is when we read books, even with different, there's always, I know you've been at this stage where you read the books on wealth, money management, PR, all these things to help you grow and get to this place. And you read some that just resonate so well. And, you think, wow, this book was written in 1957. I thought it was, a book that was written recently, but that's because there was something to that story that resonated. And that's why it has transcended time and even, social narratives and fashion icon. Those type of things don't stop a story that has relevance from reaching new people in different times.
Yeah, 100%.
So that for me is always, like I say, that level of authenticity. If you can find a way to do it, it will have lasting power.
For sure. And your name will go on and on and on.
Absolutely.
Now tell us, with such a diverse career, how do you maintain balance and stay motivated across your various endeavors?
Oh, well, I've neglected everything. I don't, family and kids, I don't know where they are. No, honestly, I think it's the fact that I have a wife and kids that helps keep me balanced, because, I can go off on the deep end. I love it. I could just go into my little bat cave and stay there forever. But it's, having responsibilities of life, having children that go through things, whether it's in college or in life or, things that involve someone else. Those are the type of things that keep you from being so involved in yourself. And so for me, that's been one of the blessings. It's one of those things that you say, if I had all this time, I could do this, but you probably wouldn't be a well-rounded person. And I think for me, the thing that I've always wanted to leave, it hasn't been just about wealth or accomplishment. It's been more about legacy and leaving something for my family, or maybe for my grandkids to look up and say, wow, granddad was, he really cared. He was really involved, and having my children know that I've been a part of their life. So that's it for me.
No, I think that's awesome. And, it's funny. Most people in their head, they think the whole world sees them one way, but it's not until you have, it's kind of crazy. I was in an accident at one point, and, you never realize the impact you have on people. And everybody showed up at this point, and they were all like, oh my God, we got to make sure Patty's okay. And, it's like, wow. So I touched this many people. That just warmed my heart. It's like, you don't know this on a normal day. So, really doing what makes you feel good and doing what, to help others. It's not always about you. And,
absolutely,
it's going to come back. I mean, it's amazing. So I think you're on the right track for sure.
Yeah, that's impactful to see people show up for you and let you know that you really touch people. And I think that's the thing, even if, for those that, say, hey, well, I don't have a wife and kids. I mean, you just said it right. You impacted people. And that's what it's about. You left a lasting impact for people that truly cared about you, so that when something happens, they're like, hey, we're here for you. So I think that's awesome that you had that experience to let you know that everything that you're doing to help others and, make an impact, it's being seen. You're seen. So I think that's something we all want as humans.
Yeah. And it's funny, sometimes when bad stuff happens, they always say, that's when you see who your real friends are too. Because some people just turn like, I can't use her anymore. Bye.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it was to you.
That's a part of the process. That is the process. So for any of you who are watching this podcast, with all this great stuff that we're talking about, I need you to know there are going to be a lot of obstacles. There are going to be a lot of people. They say they're haters, but guess what? You need those people, because that's a check and balance. You don't need everyone saying you're amazing, you're great. You need people to make you go, is that something that I might need to think about?
Yeah,
because it's going to help you become better. And so those are the things you have to realize with all of this accomplishment, with all the things that you've probably seen. It's all about the ups and downs and how you respond to those challenges that come. Those are the things that help you get to new levels, is responding to challenges. That's a part of the growth.
Yeah, that's what they say. Everything happens for a reason. It might suck at the time, but
That's
there's a
right.
reason for it, and it makes you the better person. So
That's
yeah.
right. I mean, you've been in PR marketing. Listen,
Too long.
it's one thing to put award winning behind it, but what did that take? They see the award, but they don't know what it took to get to that place.
Yeah.
And that is the journey. And that's the thing that would be very interesting to learn from most people.
Yeah, 100%. So now tell us, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out as an entrepreneur or a creator?
As an entrepreneur, definitely do your research. I always say, especially in this creative business and film and speaking, look at everything and put the word business behind it. So if you're going to be a film, it's the film business. If you're going to make films, understand with the creative, you need to understand your business, understand financing, learn to be financially literate, learn about credit, business credit. These are things that help you to grow in business that aren't as talked about, because in that creative process, you need to learn how to make money. And that's what really, at the end of the day, we're doing something to help people. Yes. But we want to make money while we're doing it. You don't want to do it and you're spending money. You want to make money so that you can continue to do what you do. So I would encourage anybody starting out to not only focus on your craft, learn, be ready to evolve, but truly understand finances, because that's going to be the lifeblood of your business.
Right. Yeah. People don't understand the intricacies of it all. They just, this is what I do. I make comic books or whatnot. And that's all great. But how much does it cost for this? How much does it cost for that?
That's
What's it going to cost to publish? What's it going to cost?
That's
At the end of the day, you're like, oh man, I had a great, it could have been awesome if you would have just did the research first. So you are 100% right.
That is absolutely right. Those finances can, they throw your curveball if you're not ready. Yeah.
So now tell us, what's next for you? Are there any exciting projects or goals that you're currently working towards that you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm actually releasing a book this year. I'm already a children's author, but now I'm writing my first motivational book when I kind of go out and speak. Right. That's something that I'm going to be doing. I'm starting a new podcast, hopefully this year. Nice. So I'm still trying to debate on what's going to be the topic. Is it going to be on one field, or is it going to cover different levels of entrepreneurship? So those for me are the two biggest things now, having my book and starting a new podcast. That's something that I think I'm going to be, really excited about going into 2025. Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Now, anything else you want to add that we didn't cover yet?
No, I think that's about it. But I will say this. Make sure you listen. A lot of times we have these ideas. Listening is a skill. And I'm telling you, it goes across everything you're doing. If you're going to do marketing for someone, you have to listen. You have to know what they want. Because even though you have your skill, I'm sure you've worked with thousands of clients. And I'm sure when they start, you already have an idea of where they need to go because you work with so many clients. But there are nuances. And if you don't, you say, well, no, this is what you should do. And you go, wait, but you missed something essential. Hey, even with knowledge, you could lose it. So I encourage from the beginning to the seasoned, listen, never stop listening. And I think you'll be good. And people will appreciate the fact that you listen, because that is one of the lost arts today, in my opinion.
100%. And it's funny because the listening is so key, because even with the marketing, it always, so many clients are just like, I don't represent them, just say Coca-Cola for an example. Yeah. I have this great soda, the whole world loves it, and that's it. But it's not about you, it's about them. And a lot of times, like, in 800 numbers on the clients for more, they would always ring on my desk. And I'm talking to people, and it was amazing that the story you think you're telling is not at all what they're getting. They're thinking something different. And it's like, so that's helpful, because now we know that, okay, we have to tweak this a little bit. But the companies, if you're not listening to this, you don't know, you're just pitching one story and they're hearing something totally different. And it's like, this is key to your business success. So 100% listen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be it for me.
Yeah, nice. Well, how could people get a hold of you or learn more about you?
Well, you can go to my site, forresttuff.com, and that's 2 R's, 2 T's, 2 F's, forresttuff.com. And from there, you can find all my social media sites or anything that I'm involved in or things that are coming up.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Forrest Tuff. So thanks for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia. Never miss an episode. No, my pleasure. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the channel. So thank you again.
Thank you for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia, talking with some of the most brilliant minds on their journey to success and their recommended strategies. Please leave your feedback and visit pristineadvisors.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Feel free to let me know your thoughts, suggestions, and anything else you'd like me to cover. Together, we can make success happen for all.